Right there, Starscream back for a Transformer review this time. Now, I know what you lot are thinking. Where the hell have I been? Well, you might not be thinking that. You might be thinking, he's gone and he's not coming back. The world's a better place. But, you know, I'm like a bad penny. I just keep turning up. And now I thought I'd turn my attentions back to Transformer reviews. Only on the basis that I'm working on a project that is taking a long time. If you saw my last film review, it was of that disgusting film, you know, Revenge of the Fallen Michael Bay. So less said about that the better. So if you liked that, what I've got planned at the moment you're really going to like, and it goes one step further in my opinion. But it's taken a lot of time, and I'm trying to, you know, mix it with work, and when I get back and I'm trying to learn some songs and stuff and blah blah blah. A lot of my time's taken up. And one thing of note, you know, before I carry on get to this Transform review, which I will do all in due course. Moment of silence, please, for Pete Steele of Typo Negative. What a guy. He will be missed. Rest in peace, mate. Now, let's get on to the Transformer in hand, shall we? Generation 1 tracks. What a odd Transformer, shall we say. I'll tell you why I say he's odd, other than other things you could probably, you know, interpret into his character. He has sort of like a triple changer mode. Now, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I suppose I could do that at the beginning or something. But, you know, he's got a vehicle mode, and then he flies with wings at the back. And then he obviously has his robot mode. So, he could be, you know, a slight stretch of the imagination, considered a triple changer. But he's not sold as a triple changer. And I'll be completely honest with you, because, you know, I usually like lying. Why do I say that? I'll be honest, as I usually am with you. I've seen triple changers a lot worse. But Generation 1 tracks is a nice toy. And I've got a few stickers that I put off on repro labels on the back there, a bit there, just to make it more, you know, show accurate, shall we say. Now, let's have a little look at the character, shall we, before I prattle on about something else that's completely irrelevant and everybody just goes... Now, I don't know if you know the original Marvel comics, but Trax was literally one of the backup forces. You know, when the Autobots rang out of troops and they were going through a hard time, they, you know, literally like Beast Wars, they produced bodies and it entered the spark into it. So we had characters like Inferno. Trax was one of them, and he helped out on Earth for a while. Now, a lot of you probably know or don't know the underbase. Does that make any sense? A lot of you probably know and you don't know. A lot of you probably do know, I'd hope. Otherwise, this conversation that I'm having with myself is going nowhere. The underbase, he dies. You know, Starscream gets all-powerful and just literally wipes out the majority of the G1 Transformers to make way for the new toy line. And Trax was one of them. And he died. But Wheeljack, later on, in an on-running comic, shall we say, decides that Trax was a good warrior. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, he never did anything that substantial. But I didn't write the comic, so I can only go what's been written. Yeah, right? Cool. So he gets resurrected, rebuilt, repaired, put back online by Wheeljack, and there he continues. So essentially he dies and comes back. You know, he's got something going on with Prime there, isn't he? But he comes back looking exactly the same, unlike Prime, who changes his form all the time. And he's actually part in the Generation 2. I think he comes in Generation 2 comic, that is, sorry. Just making a blah blah blah. There's no Generation toy. No, he's in the Generation 2 comic. And he has a bit of a run-in with Straxus, or... Is it Straxus, isn't it? Or Jaxus? Straxus... I say Jaxus, you say Straxus, yeah? No? Okay. Well, you know the guy, I mean, the Generation 2, the almightily powerful overlord of the new form of Transformer. And it's unsure and uncertain whether he survives the conflict. I don't think it's in the actual comic or the adaptation. They've got a book now, which is in a graphic novel, which is really, really nice, and you've got to get it. It's unclear whether he survives. So if you like him, you're going to go, yeah, he survived. Now he's back on Cybertron helping the Autobots. And if you hate this guy, you're thinking, good riddance to the... you know, egotistical, arrogant little bastard that he is. But that's up to you to decide. I quite like Trax, and he's quite entertaining in the cartoon show. In the cartoon show, he appears in the second season. Like all of the new toy line that was introduced in the second season, he's just taken for granted. He's just there. Don't ask questions, because there's no answers to them. So he's there, and he befriends this little guy. What's his name? Bear with me. Yeah, he befriends a kid called Raoul, or Real. Actually, it could be called Paul, but with an R. So it's Raoul. Should we call it Raoul? Yeah, we'll call Raoul. Okay, so he makes friends with a kid called Raoul who carjacks him, or nicks him. if we'd say over here. Yeah, so he nicks a car, the kid. But they come to an understanding and they become friends, and they're far too friendly. Read into that what you want. I've read a lot of things into that, and I think it's just plain bloody weird. So, pretty much, he goes through the comic show. He's more obsessed by his appearance than fighting Decepticons, but we know that. He's given this slightly aristocratic English voice. So everybody, you know, who's a pig-headed idiot and a moron speaks with an English accent. Somebody trying to tell me something? No? Okay. So I quite like him. Now, let's look at the toys, because that's what you guys are interested in, aren't you? No? Well, tough! Because that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is a reissue. I've got an original one, but unfortunately, like most tracks, he has this problem. He has a tendency for the leg to go like that and need to do that. So either he's been on, you know, far too many Energon shakes, or should we say Energon benders. I'm not quite sure what's going on. The head moulding doesn't really resemble the show that much, because in the show he does have a mouth, and this guy has some sort of like beak. He's got a beak, and the detail is pretty poor. The generation, the original one I've got is no better, so out of comparison for the two, there is no point. Slight bit of die-cast metal there, and he's blue. So there's no point in me pointing out the bleeding obvious to you. And it's a nice toy, and it makes a great car. All of the Generation 1 toys make great vehicles, and the robot mode is secondary. Not so bad as GoBot, so let's not go down that route. And there was other variations of the colour scheme, and I just happen to have both of them. Now, would you like to see the other colour variants? Here's Red Tracks. Red Tracks is cool, and he's being reflected by the light I've got here off to my left, because the sun's coming through our blocks off because it was blurring the I'm boring you, sorry. Red Tracks. Red Tracks is cool, and he matches his head, although his head should be grey, but mine's not. For some reason it's red. But he looks the business. Everybody should have a Red Tracks. I actually prefer it to the blue one. And he's quite hard to come by, but he does look the business, doesn't he? And if you've got a blue Tracks, you've got to get a red one. And there's another one. Yes, Diaclones. Great colours. Black Tracks. Black Tracks is cool too. And he has a red head again for some reason. Actually, this isn't a real Black Tracks. I painted this one because I had lots of Trackses, and is that plural? Lots of Trackses. It's like sheep, isn't it? There's only one sheep. Sheeps. Trackses. No. Okay, so he's nice. I like Black Tracks because I painted him and he looks damn cool in my opinion. Message on the postcard if you think he looks good, but I don't think he looks too shabby, do you? Yeah, he's alright, isn't he? So Black Tracks is one to get, or to paint. And yes, they did some alternator variants. That just fell on the floor then. That's if you wonder why I was just looking down there. I'm not trying to type something clever and bring up information on the screen. It's just sitting there on my right hand side. I wouldn't be that cruel. Now the alternators line. I don't often talk about these guys a lot. I don't know why actually, because I think they're great toys. They transform very well, and a few more just for the hell of it. They're a good toy line. Overpriced in my opinion, and you really want to get the Japanese alternatives, which are vinyl text, because they're metal. You don't want the plastic crappy American versions of the... Anyway, Tracks was originally released in yellow. I do not to this day know why. You know the colour of the toy, okay? Tracks is blue. Even if you're a retarded moron, it's quite obvious he's blue. And if you're colourblind, ask somebody who isn't to tell you the colour of Tracks. He's blue! And they released him in yellow. Am I missing something here? Am I just being stupid or, you know, retarded beyond a certain level? I don't think so. He's yellow. But the toy itself is pretty damn good. Now, this is the metal one. As you can probably tell, it weighs quite a... How can you tell it weighs a bit? I'm holding it. I'm telling you it weighs a bit, alright? And they paid homage to the rear weapons here, which mount up on the back. The head's white like it should be. The face is red, but he's got a mouth and the proper eyes. It's a really good toy. There's a bit too much stuff going on behind. I'm splitting hairs, I'm sorry. It's a great, great toy, and I love it. I always have. I love this mould of this toy. It's one of my favourite vinyl text alternator type figures. Come on, words, just come out, alright? Mind's there, mouth isn't. Or maybe it's vice versa. Mouth's there, the mind isn't. I'll leave that to you to decide. But they made amends. And here he is, in blue, like he should have been from the get-go. Anyway, now he looks the part. This is the toy that you want if you want Tracks. It's great. It's essentially exactly what you want. If you're a fan of Tracks and the character, put your head back, mate, alright? Thank you. It is a perfect representation in a Binaltech form. And yet again, this is the metal one. Bit of metal going. Now, I'm not going to point out the varying points of metal because it's boring. Needless to say, he has metal on him and it's good.